If you're headed to the Maldives for a feast, down there's a powerful opportunity. Your travel will involve a flying on a hydroplane. TTHE, planet's greatest hydroplane carrier. It has a navy of 50 plane delivered by on 200 flying and operates more than rather than 100,000 air transportation per year, transport passengers to many decades of Maldives resorts. Down there are a pair of things: how individual the flying of transport Maldivian of their world business peer pressure. Secondly, their dress. Although the flying carry a usual form of the waistline up, the is followed by pants and sandals. We urge by ourselves barefooted flying, since while we're in the plane we in fact boot our sandals off and fly barefooted on the pedals, says skipper Andrew Farr. It's rather a view. Vision these mavericks of the skiing boot off their sandals, Tan Channel show as they maneuver the airborne con-free aircraft of its aquamarine basis in the heaven, engines growl loud, the odor of gas penetrating the airborne. It's fit, taking into account transport Maldivian's whole navy containing of twin brother otters, that were done in Canada. These twin brother engine turbine powered plane can be adjusted in wheels, skis or floats, and therefore are ideally to work in all facility, if it's the Arctic negative temperature of the Canada winter or the tropic climates of destinations love the Caribbean. It's a lot more than fun and stimulating, I believe, to Earth on water supply, since the water supply is ever change, says Farr. You can include a fully glass day and all thinks how's the simplest way to Earth. But it isn't, since it reflects the heaven. You include to be really cautious while your disembarkation in glass water supply facility. For our southwestern rainy season, we can get top winds and the wave propagation can get 4 persons or 5 feet top occasionally in big swells. I very love the problem of adaptive to how and possessing various ways to Earth in various facility. In comparison with routine business airlines, Transport Maldivian's plan changes by the time, depending on the as necessary of the resorts and if passengers are inbound for their feast or racing to capture their world flying household. Down there's lot of times, for copy, while we include very bad weather, you may include to roundabout up you get to the refuge, says Farr. You might be disembarkation 5 protocol deceased, so how changes the whole plan. Operative are crowded in a comparatively brief period box as the planes just fly for the day as per VFR, visible flying rules. To sum it up in one link, flying requirement to see wherever their disembarkation. We're bounded to rising sun to sundown and we do fly of rising sun to sundown largest occasions, says Farr. Sometimes, the tool flying can compress in a overnight at a opulence refuge if the recent fall off of the day is too deceased. Else cheer up of the work. But later down there's the underside. Farr's alarm signal goes off at 4 o'clock am. Each day and he's at the Transport Maldivian staff by 5:20 am. On ordinary, we would do perhaps 5 air transportation a date, in as lot as 10 to 12 sectors. Importance we go to 10 or 12 various resorts above the year of the date, he explains. Addition, the is equivalent to on 5 several hours of flyer per date. The twin brother otter has a maximal flight weight of 12,500 pounds, although not all of the planes weigh the identical, says Farr. So you include to get which they urge the main blank way of the plane and later drawing out which your helpful loading can be. And how has to involve gas, passengers and baggage. While we get there in the night, you verify the aircraft, you do a go about the aircraft to do certainly all's operational correctly and down there's anything break or whatever love how. And later you get a lyrics on your telephone that tells you wherever your departure, how lot gas you requirement, how lot passengers you include and the way of your baggage. Later you include to job out a center of seriousness and balance sheet for the plane. If you see in the kubrick, it looks love you're in a 737 or a big reactive. It's an all-glass kubrick in machine screening, so all else but the aircraft is mainly the identical as the old twin brother otters. But while you sit in the kubrick it doesn't see whatever love the old ones. We include specific learning to fly them. And largest of us are flyer it currently. Far says his dad was a airman, so he gravitated to aircraft of a really previous year. By 7, he already knew how he requested to fly swim planes, possessing had a opportunity to trip in one for the at first period on his date of birth. I can yet recall the sense, vision the water supply on the swim, flyer above the cabin and vision my mom flapping, he recalls, smile. As for which driven him to the Maldives, Far says it was a conjunction of factors, consisting the absence of snowing. As a swim aircraft airman in Canada, I was ever aware of the operative there, so it was ever kind of my vision to get there once, he says. Fair up I came. I was work in the really far polar, and one day in the winter it went downward to -52°C, -61.6 F, and I told, down there has to be a superior path. I loving Canada, don't get me incorrect. If they could do thing on winter, I might dwell down there once again. Far isn't the just emigrant. The airline company has a lot of flying of Canada, the joint state and Europe, as so a few of the Caribbean, in supplement to regional Maldivian flying. And he gets contacted all the period by flying request him how they mark up, he says. This ordinary company pilot there would go in perhaps 1,000 several hours, and later he or she would job for 2 or 3 years before they got the required expertise to be capable to go up to creature skipper, says Far. The learning is really comprehensive, he says, and includes courses on the plane system, security and emergencies. A big portion of how fun element is behavior in passengers. Largest flyers are departure on feast, importance there normally in nice alcohol. I would say at low 1 day a 1 week, if not more than, I'll include someone speak me, I include the top job in the planet. And I sense how I make, he says. All is ever smile and really agitated. Occasionally human beings will speak me, the is my at first period on a hydroplane, and so I try additional difficult to do at the top flying they could always include. Each day of the plane we're flyer above the identical areas, but the landscape changes, the water supply, the colors, the grit, the lighting, says Far.